Welcome back to another episode of the single review. Today's going to be kind of an interesting day. It's a single episode, with just myself. No one else. No Zach. No Carter. No Liquor Boy. No anyone else. It's just going to be me. Kind of like one of the first ones that we did with the single reviews, like I said. However, instead of reviewing something today, I thought we might do something a little bit more interesting. I think what we're going to do is you're going to join me in creating a blend for a upcoming episode. The other guys are making their own blends. There's not really any rules, but I'm going to try to stick to Texas whiskeys in my blend. Kind of thought that would be interesting. So we have a couple whiskeys that I pulled down. Pretty much every Texas whiskey that I could find. So we're going to see where that leads us to. But, yeah, I think we're going to try a few things today. We're going to have just kind of a fun episode today. So I was thinking for this blend, I think I'm going to use a base of... You might have heard this before, and depending on who's listening, I know Brian, who's been on the episode before in the Texas Extravaganza episode, I think we did. We had a bottle or two called Eleanor. And this is from Crowd Barrel Company, or you might know them from their YouTube channels, Whiskey Vault or Whiskey Tribe. So I say that a lot, don't I? So, and. That's another one I say a lot, but. We'll try to switch it up a little bit. We'll say however. However, this Eleanor is not one of the normal chapped releases that they do. This is a half-baked, they call it. So essentially what this just means is it's only spent about one summer in Texas before they bottled it. So it's like a 3-year-old barrel, and I'm essentially paraphrasing the back of the label. So it's an MGP bottle, cask strength, not the bottle, but the whiskey, bourbon, bottle of cask strength, but it spends a couple months in Texas, but then they have to barrel it, and the reason for that was they needed stuff to make cocktails for, so, and this is what they picked. So this is half-baked batch 3. It is 58.55% alcohol. It is 3.5 years. Bottle 216. And I feel bad using this, but there's only about 20% left in it, and it's MGP. And the only reason I'm going to use this is I have a unopened bottle of the regular Eleanor that I've been hoarding a little bit. So we're going to use some of this MGP, and it is a little bit different on the flavor profile, so that's why I'm using it. MGP is a great bourbon, so it's a perfect base. But also this does have a little bit more character because it did spend time in that Texas climate. So I think it'll be a fantastic base. So that's what we're going to do. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to first try a little bit. So what I'm doing to kind of paint a picture is I have 2 vessels. I have my normal glass in front of me, which is a stemmed Glencairn essentially, and then I have a normal Glencairn, which is actually slightly bigger than what my stemmed glass is. It's not officially Glencairn, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to taste pretty much all of the whiskeys prior to dumping into my main Glencairn, which will be used as a small blending glass, we'll say. So a little bit of this half-baked batch 3. Whenever I don't finish, I'll just dump it back into for the blend. And on those, there's a little bit of banana. It wasn't the first note. This is my second sniff, but we had a cat that got in and tried to rustle the whiskey from us, so it had to be thrown out. But on the first nose, it's corn. It's younger. On the second nose, there's a lot of banana. I shouldn't say a lot. It's present, but it's not popping out like maybe you would find on a Jack Daniel's or an Old Forester, like standard edition. But it is there, like a banana pudding with some vanilla and stuff. Quite nice, actually. Ooh, and on the taste, yeah. So it is. It's that corn pudding, banana pudding mix. A lot of vanilla. Decently woody still. And very sweet. I think this will be perfect for a base. And not that I'm not a blending master, I'll have you know. Contrary to what the other two guys might think. I did try my other two blends that I've made that have been on the podcast. The two being one, the fake Old Rip 10, and the rye whiskey I used as a base of double rye and a couple other things on there. I forget, but it was on a podcast where we did other blends. And that one was good. They're both good. I think I actually do prefer the Old Rip a little bit, mostly because it is a base of just Eagle Rare 10, so how bad can it get? But I think I'm more in the mood for either a really complex bourbon, being from Texas, or Scotch. So I think this base, this Eleanor, of being a very well-rounded MGP bourbon will do nicely, and I'll just add things in that'll fill the gaps and make it more complicated. There is cherry to it, though, too. That second taste, yeah. Good cherry also. Man, I like it. All right. So that was just a thimble. So I think what we're going to do is, I have a jigger here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour about half an ounce into my primary Glencairn. I will put a coin, challenge coin, on top to use as a lid. It's one I got from Whiskey Vault, too. It's so heavy. It says whiskey, 2E or not 2E. That is the question. Referencing, obviously, the two ways to spell whiskey. That's more of an indication of your tradition or where you're pulling your tradition from. So we got a half ounce of our Eleanor half-baked. So that is that. Put our Glencoin over. Oh, it fits perfectly. Maybe we should get some Glencoins at some point. I have to look that up. I'm sure they're expensive. So we got a couple other options that we have here. So I've pulled down all of my Texas whiskey. So as I indicated before, I was leaning towards more of either a complicated bourbon or Scotch. So I'm thinking maybe something that's got a lot of wood, a lot of caramel, but maybe something smoky also. And the easiest blend to do is just a 3-part blend. There's like a base, a body, and like an accent. So that's the easiest thing to do. And I've tried to do more than 3 in the past, I believe. But sometimes that's just the way to do it. But I think today I'm not going to break tradition, and I'm going to try to do at least 4 to 5. So what I got it lined out in front of me, I have, just so you know the options, and maybe somehow you can help me pick. What we have is, I have 2 different Iron Root Republic, the Iron Root Harbinger, I should say. We have one at, never mind, they're both at 115%. One's an older bottle and one's a newer bottle. I remember those being very complex, very different from a stereotypical bourbon, we'll say. So we had two of those. I have a sloppy poncho, also from the Crowded Barrel, which is really good. It's more rye spice I remember in that bourbon, and a little bit of grass knowing in there. I got Belconis's Brimstone, which is real smoky. It's got like mesquite, I think, in it. I have a Belconis Rumble. Still Austin cask strength. I have a Belconis single malt whiskey, single barrel pick at 66%. And then I have 3 Crowded Barrel Alliance series. I have an Austin 101 that is 15 months and 110 proof. Dripping Springs edition, which is 3.5 years old. And then Shire Distilling, 2 years old. That one's got French oak staves in it. Or spirals. I might be mistaken. I'm trying to read from far away. So I'm thinking, I see a few ways to go about this. I could stick towards more of a budget-oriented and maybe doing like an Iron Root, because that's only like $55, so that's got a lot of proof. I could also stick with like a Brimstone, which I think was like 45 or 50. I got Lineage, Belconis Lineage in front of me. My instinct is telling me that I should use some of the Belconis single malt whiskey, the single barrel one at 66%, store picked by Total Wine, because that's essentially all you get up here. So I should use that for some body. And then hit it up maybe with the Rumble for a little bit more of a sweetness accent. Because I remember the single malt being very oaky and very bitter. And then maybe with the Brimstone a little bit for some weird finish on the taste. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I might try that in my glass. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. We're going to try some of the single malt on its own, the Belconis single malt, before I do anything crazy and add it. I'm going to pour it in my own glass. Just a little bit. Just a scooch. A scotch. 66%. Blah, blah, blah. 66%. It is barrel number 15950. Finished, or aged, I should say, in European oak. Oh, yeah. And you can tell it's 66%. You know what it smells like? It smells like if you made waffles out of milled corn, super flaky, creamy, like a waffle is, but then it's drenched in maple syrup, like real maple syrup. That's what the smell is like, which is weird because it doesn't have corn. That's what it smells like, though. Oh, yeah. Yeah, super bitter, but very sweet. Wow. It's got kick. Yeah. Ooh, and the coffee. Black coffee. Yeah. Okay. That black coffee just lingers with you. Yeah. So it starts off with like a super artificial, almost grape, and then hits you with the oak, the bitterness from the oak, and then leads into just a black coffee note. That's nutty. It's pretty good. So I think we'll do some of that. I'm thinking a 1/4 ounce. So I did a 1/2 ounce in that glass. I'm thinking a 1/4 ounce of this Belconis single malt, single barrel. I think that'll kind of make it nice. Make it pop. For the bitterness, at least. Because the other one was really sweet. So that's probably a little less than a 1/4 ounce, but now I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna give it a smell. See what's developing so far. Man, I can't get anything off the nose now. I just get alcohol and dust from the glass. I'm gonna put the cover back on that. I think we're just gonna continue. So I'm going to add one more thing before I try that blend. But I think, you know what? I think we're at a crossroads right here. We have that brimstone, which I know is very smoky, but it's a completely different kind of smoke because we have this Austin 101 right here. And I don't know if I said that, but this is this is a light whiskey, technically. The description is it's Austin 101 aged, a light whiskey in a Garrison Brothers barrel before we moved it into a 5-gallon peated single malt barrel. That just sounds amazing to me. 15 months old. It is 55% alcohol. So this is what I propose. We're gonna try this Austin 101 on its own. If it's as peaty as I remember it is, I think we're gonna have to add some of this. If I don't like what I taste compared to my memory of it, then we're gonna go over to the brimstone and see what that does. Well, taste it first. The guys have not had these yet, neither have I actually. I should say I haven't had it on the podcast before. All right. Little swirly swirl. Okay, yep. Okay, I kind of forgot about that. It's like 90% butterscotch on the nose. So much butterscotch. It's just a corny little butterscotch candy. Wow. All right, tasting it. Wow. There's a flash of sweetness with some other notes. And then it hits you with the alcohol and the peat at the same time. But that peat is what I'm looking for. I just don't know if I want that additional sweetness. Yeah, it's butterscotch for days. That's the dominant note. But then, just behind it is some nice peat flavor. Wow. Yeah, that is really good. The peat note actually reminds me of the single mom from Crowded Barrel, which has been forever since I've been able to have some of that. But that's what it reminds me of. It is. It's like that peated single mom that we had a long time ago now, it feels like. But that is the peat note I want. I just don't know if I want the additional sweetness. Let me see. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour a little bit from my main glass into my tasting glass. Just a little bit. Try not to overwhelm it, but I'm going to see what that does. Then if I like it, I'll add maybe a little less than a quarter of an ounce into the main blend. We'll see what it does. Hopefully I don't fail. Okay. I did about, what I had remaining in this glass was about, I added about the same amount of the main glass. So now it's a 50% that Austin 101 and 50% that blend I just did. Butterscotch and caramel are on the primary nose, and then it hits you with a little bit of alcohol astringency. I love the nose on it though, because that Austin 101 nose is just overly sweet, but this took it down to where it's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. Werther's original, man, and just like on a piece of wood. I like it. Oh yeah, that's what it needed. Oh man. Okay, we're talking. Okay, I think kind of throwing out the cheap blend out the window a little bit because I mean Balcones single malt single barrel is easy to get, but it's like $80 for a bottle. Eleanor half baked, it's I'd say just go maybe buy like maybe a pinhook, an older single barrel pinhook, and maybe that'll get close. That's what I would say. You can get one that's like 6 years old for about $55. So, not sure how much that compares to one another, but this Austin 101 though from Crowded Barrel, that is your problem. I mean, this is a 375 milliliter bottle, and there's only 286 bottles, and it's not on sale for mass market. Like this is an exclusive thing. So not super repeatable, we'll say. So yeah. However, this blend was very nice. Oh yeah, I still haven't said what it tastes like. So yeah, it's caramel and butterscotch, both of them. Very apparent from one another. There's overlap, but you can tell when the other one's completely disappeared and leaving you with either the butterscotch or the caramel. Oh, it's amazing. Um, that leaves you and goes into more of a oaky molasses, um, and then the bitterness builds up and then kind of transitions into a black coffee note, and that's where that leaves you with that finish. Is with that black coffee. It is really good. If I don't mind tooting my own horn, but yeah, so that was about a 50-50. So we've done about, oh man, 3/4 of an ounce. So if we want to do that, we'd have to do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a full 1/4 of an ounce. I'm going to keep it to either quarter, half, or 3/4 because that's the measurements I have, and then I can easily repeat that into the bigger bottle. Man, yeah, we're going to see. We'll have to play around because I don't want to put most of this bottle into a blend either. So we'll have to see what we have. It was good. Okay, let that swirl a little bit. So now I'm nosing the main Glencairn, the big dump glass, we'll say, the mixing glass. I do like that more than pretty much everything on its own. It does get, I must have been a little off on the ratios because that Austin 101 gets buried a little bit more than I liked, but still present. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to come back to that brimstone, I think, and see what I don't remember. What I don't remember and what I remember, and see what we could possibly add. Add some to the tasting glass of brimstone. And this is so dark. This one is 53% alcohol. Man. Here's the overview on this if you want to know. One of a kind whiskey is smoked with a sun-baked Texas scrub oak. Using our own secret process, the result is a whiskey full of fresh, youthful corn and light fruit notes, married with a bold smokiness. Whether you like smoky whiskeys or have a penchant for big, new flavors, Brimstone is sure to be a memorable pour, I'll say. Aromas of Malsa, Texas campfire, and powdered sugar, backed by stone fruit, peppery spice, and mint. Bold yet balanced, Brimstone is yet another Texas original from Balcones. Yeah, okay, well, yeah, it's not this, okay. So if the other one was more peat, this is more campfire, if that makes sense. You know, the peat's like oily, and it sticks. This is like you've passed by a campfire, maybe. Like it's a different smokiness. It's like barbecue smokiness versus an actual wood fire smokiness. You know, as far as like just the smell, I don't know if that does a good job of explaining, but they're different. That's what you need to know. Yeah. It's super oaky. It is sweet on the front. It is not like a lingering smokiness, but it is like licking. It just tastes like wood. So now we're at a point where should we add it or should we not? I think if we add this, it would be a very, very small amount. I think we're going to add a little bit. We're just going to add a very small amount. Like, I think this is, if we were doing a full bottle, it's probably like 1/4 of an ounce, half an ounce. So I'm going to pour just a very small amount of this brimstone into the main glass. We're not even talking about, it's like a thimble. Spin that around a little bit. Now we're going to smell the mixing glass. Yeah, I don't know if it's this glass. I'm just not getting anything off of this. We're going to try it. You know what? That did kind of fill out the body. Kind of needed that. Yeah, that's pretty good. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 bottles. Man, I don't know if there's anything else we can add to it that'll really help it out. It does. This tastes like Texas in a glass. You know, if that brimstone didn't already, this really emphasizes what Texas is doing. It's just got all the sweetness and then it hits you with that bitterness like a 2x4. Not so much here or here, but right here. That's where it tastes. Yeah. I'm interested to see how that harmonizes. It does taste a little separate from some of the whiskeys. It seems like there's two sides. It seems like the sweetness and the bitterness are very distinct, and they haven't mingled yet. It's like you're sipping two different whiskeys at once. And that's the weird thing about blending is you're not going to know how it marries until you give it time and then you come back to it. But I think that's what we're going to do. So what I did is I grabbed a empty bottle. I think I'm going to measure all these into because it's kind of risky using up that Eleanor bottle. Mixing in this, and then I'll probably come back to it in a couple days and see what's gone awry. The bottle I'm using, by the way, is a Belconis Texas Rye Cask Strength single barrel. This was really good, and it's kind of a special bottle. Got it in Texas. Man, I wish I had more of that. So, I don't want it. There's a little bit residue left. I don't really want it to impart flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this whiskey in the glass and I'm going to dump it in there and then I'll probably just rinse it. And then dump it out just a little bit. I don't know what the other guys are doing. I'm curious to see what those guys have in mind for a blend. You know, Zach last time did a Scotch, and Carter I think did a bourbon. You know, and I've been kind of super fortunate, we'll say, at dodging the bullet as far as blend collapsing, because that was a problem I think those two had. It was their blends collapsed. Like Carter's tasted like water, and it was all cask strength whiskey or bourbon even. So that was weird. Give that podcast a listen. And then you know, and then Zach was doing Scotch, which is super cool if you pulled it off. But I don't know. I haven't done a Scotch yet. I've heard it's kind of tricky to play around with peat. And I think Zach kind of got burned on that last one, we'll say. So I'm interested to see if they try to do a redemption. All right, so I'm going to tip this bottle over on the barrel that I'm using as a table and empty this out. Kind of tap it a little bit. Should have been writing down. So I did a half ounce, quarter ounce Belconas, and then another quarter ounce. So what we'll do is I think we'll use a 2 ounce side. I think we're going to add 4 ounces of Eleanor. Oh my, it's spilling and I have a funnel. Why didn't I use the funnel? Hang on. Wait, funnel. Oh God. I'm trying to do too many things. At least it's just MGP. That did not work. Next time I will be pouring less. It's 4. I think I'm going to do another 2. All right, so that's about 6 ounces. that I've added of the MGP, the Eleanor one. So, yeah, I'm excited. And then we'll do, so we need 3 ounces of the Balcones single malt. This will be close. That'll might kill my bottle. Maybe there's a half ounce left in that bottle. Wow. Now we got to do about 3 ounces of that Austin 101 in there. Okay, and then we got to do, I think I'm going to do about 1/4 of an ounce total of that Brimstone. Actually, it's probably more like half an ounce for this ratio. I still have my mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of sort everything up. I'm going to close the bottle, and then I'm going to kind of give it a mix. And it's a little less than half full. So what we need to do is we are going to compare now the blend that we made in glass compared to what I just measured out and see what needs to get adjusted. So now I got both glasses in front of me. I have the bottle blend in my left, and then I have what we made in the Glencairn in my right. That Glencairn actually kind of woke up finally. Oh man, yeah, the stuff in the bottle is way sweeter on the nose. On the taste, I'm gonna do the Glencairn first. Oh yeah, man, that's a good blend. It's grape, oak, caramel, sweetness, man, and then coffee. Now the bottle blend. Oh, good. Okay, good. That is a lot closer. It might even be sweeter though, like the butterscotch. It's overly butterscotch again. Actually, I might have to put in a little bit more of the MGP or something else. But it is hot, super super hot. Yeah. It's close enough, though, where I think I'm going to let this thing sit for a little bit. We're going to end up recording tomorrow for one episode, not the blending one, but that'll probably be next week even, because we want to give time for these to develop a little bit and kind of settle down, because their stuff is fighting in that bottle for sure. So I think that's going to be including this episode. I don't know if it's going to be a full one. I think 53 minutes recording at least. It might end up being a full one. We'll see what I can trim this down to. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this kind of single episode that we did. Keep an ear out for this episode coming up, and go check out our other blend off we had for a while back. And once again, thanks for joining us on this episode of the Whiskey House Pub House.